Welcome my Canadian official channel. I hope you watch my first video. We discover Canada Canadian Citizenship Test. Practice questions 50 to 100 in this video.
What are the provinces of Central Canada? Number 1 Ontario and Quebec. Number 2 Ontario and Manitoba. Number 3 Quebec and Nova Scotia. Number 4 Ontario and Saskatchewan. And the answer is Ontario and Quebec. In Oath of Citizenship, to whom Canadian profess their loyalty. Number 1 the Canadian Constitution. Number 2 the Sovereign, Queen or King. Number 3 Prime Minister of Canada. Number 4 the Canadian flag. And the answer is the Sovereign, Queen or King. Which of the following women group was given the right to vote in federal elections? Number 1 Women serving as nurses in World War I. Number 2 Women married to soldiers in World War I. Number 3 Women working in munitions factories in World War I. Number 4 Women who lost a family member in World War I. And the answer is women serving as nurses in World War I. In the D-Day invasion of Western Europe on June 6, 1944, Canadian forces stormed and took which beach from the German army? Number 1 Paris. Number 2 Netherlands. Number 3 Lisbon. Number 4 Juneau. And the answer is Juneau. Upper Canada and Lower Canada were united as the Province of Canada in year. Number 1 1830. Number 2 1860. Number 3 1840. Number 4 1850. And the answer is 1840. The map of the east coast of Canada was first drawn by Number 1 Ferdinand Magellan. Number 2 Christopher Columbus. Number 3 Jacques Cartier. Number 4 John Cabot. And the answer is John Cabot. Rights for Aboriginal people are: Number 1 protected under various treaties. Number 2 guaranteed by King George Ely Royal Proclamation 1763. Number 3 guaranteed in the Constitution. Number 4 protected under provincial legislations. And the answer is guaranteed in the Constitution. Which province of the British Empire introduced abolition of slavery in North America? Number 1 Upper Canada. Number 2 Lower Canada. Number 3 Newfoundland and Labrador. Number 4 Nova Scotia. And the answer is Upper Canada. Canada Constitution bases the principle of habeas corpus, which mean: Number 1 the state has the right to imprison you at any time. Number 2 you can't be unlawfully imprisoned by the state. Number 3 your rights are less important than the rights of the state. Number 4 the state has ultimate power over your property. And the answer is you can't be unlawfully imprisoned by the state. Poets and songwriters has hailed Canada. Number 1 the great democracy. Number 2 the great force. Number 3 the great dominion. Number 4 the great confederation. And the answer is the Great Dominion. In 1982, the Canadian Constitution was amended to include the Number 1 Canadian Charter of Citizens' Responsibility. Number 2 Canadian Charter of Crime and Punishment. Number 3 Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Number 4 Canadian Charter of National Allegiance. And the answer is Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. During European arrival and settlement, large numbers of Aboriginal people died because of: Number 1 starvation. Number 2 warfare. Number 3 execution. Number 4 disease. And the answer is disease. Montreal Stock Exchange open in year. Number 1 1782. Number 2 1802. Number 3 1862. Number 4 1832. And the answer is 1832. How many Canadian and Newfoundland servicemen served in World War II? Number 1 250,000. Number 2 500,000. Number 3 over 1 million. Number 4 600,000. And the answer is over 1 million. Which of these is not protected in Canadian law? Number 1 Freedom of association. Number 2 Freedom of peaceful assembly. Number 3 Freedom of speech. Number 4 Freedom to refuse to comply the law. And the answer is freedom to refuse to comply the law. The Peace Tower in the Parliament buildings was built to commemorate. Number 1 World War II. Number 2 World War I. Number 3 the Korean War. Number 4 the Boer War. And the answer is World War I. What percentage of Canada's population lives around the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River? Number 1 10%. Number 2 25%. Number 3 50%. Number 4 75%. And the answer is 50%. Who has suggested the name Dominion of Canada in 1864? Number 1 Sir John Alexander Macdonald. Number 2 Sir Leonard Tilley. Number 3 Sir George Etienne Cartier. Number 4 Queen Victoria. And the answer is Sir Leonard Tilley. Mount Logan, the highest mountain in Canada, is in what province or territory? Number 1 Northwest Territories. Number 2 British Columbia. Number 3 Yukon. Number 4 Nunavut. And the answer is Yukon. Lieutenant governors usually serve the terms of Number 1 5 years. Number 2 4 years. Number 3 7 years. Number 4 8 years. And the answer is 5 years. Magna Carta signed in 1215 in which of the following country? Number 1 France. Number 2 Dominion of Canada. Number 3 United States. Number 4 England. And the answer is England. Métis people speak their own dialect known as Number 1 Kannada. Number 2 Michif. Number 3 Inuktitut. Number 4 Inuit. And the answer is Michif. West Coast Railway completed in year. Number 1 1871. Number 2 1869. Number 3 1898. Number 4 1885. And the answer is 1885. What are the three main components of Oath of the Citizenship? Number 1 Loyalty to the sovereign, work hard and serve in Canadian forces. Number 2 Loyalty to the sovereign, obey law and serve in Canadian forces. Number 3 Loyalty to the sovereign, faithfully observe the law and fulfill the duties as Canadian citizen. Number 4 Loyalty to the Constitution, faithfully observe the law and fulfill the duties as Canadian citizen. And the answer is loyalty to the sovereign, faithfully observe the law and fulfill the duties as Canadian citizen. Which of these Canadian tribes lived by farming and hunting? Number 1 Dean. Number 2 Iroquois. Number 3 Cree. Number 4 Sioux. And the answer is Iroquois. During the American Revolution, how many Loyalists fled to Canada? Number 1 40,000. Number 2 30,000. Number 3 60,000. Number 4 50,000. And the answer is 40,000. Canada is personified by Number 1 the sovereign, queen or king. Number 2 the prime minister. Number 3 the Constitution. Number 4 the flag. And the answer is the sovereign, Queen or King. To defend Canada, the Duke of Wellington chose Bytown as the endpoint of his network of forts, which is present days. Number 1 Ottawa. Number 2 Montreal. Number 3 Toronto. Number 4 Edmonton. And the answer is Ottawa. What are the 2 basic requirements of citizenship test? Number 1 to test the knowledge of Canada history and English language. Number 2 to test the knowledge of English and the knowledge of French. Number 3 to test the knowledge of Canada electoral process and the knowledge Canada judicial system. Number 4 to test the knowledge of Canada and rights and responsibilities of citizenship and adequate of English or French. And the answer is to test the knowledge of Canada and rights and responsibilities of citizenship and adequate of English or French. In 1813, American invaders burnt down Government House and the Parliament buildings in York. Which city is this in present days? Number 1 Halifax. Number 2 Toronto. Number 3 Montreal. Number 4 Kingston. And the answer is Toronto. In 1812, in revenge for British interference with their shipping, which country attempted to invade Canada? Number 1 France. Number 2 Spain. Number 3 Portugal. Number 4 United States. And the answer is United States. Which of following is the Canadian system of government? Number 1 Autocracy. Number 2 Republican democracy. Number 3 Benign dictatorship. Number 4 Constitutional monarchy. And the answer is Constitutional monarchy. April 9th is celebrated as Remarkable Victory of April 1917 as Number 1 Vimy Day. Number 2 Confederation Day. Number 3 Canada Day. Number 4 Dominion Day. And the answer is Vimy Day. A provincial legislature comprises the elected assembly and Number 1 a regional president. Number 2 a regional prime minister. Number 3 a lieutenant governor. Number 4 a governor general. And the answer is a lieutenant governor. Canada is known around the world as Number 1 military power. Number 2 peaceful country. Number 3 good governed country. Number 4 strong and free. And the answer is strong and free. Which province leads in granting women the right to vote? Number 1 Alberta. Number 2 Ontario. Number 3 British Columbia. Number 4 Manitoba. And the answer is Manitoba. Who are not required to write the citizenship test? Number 1 the refugees. Number 2 the applicant having university degree. Number 3 adult applicants of 55 year of age and over and under 18-year-old. Number 4 the immigrant from English-speaking countries. And the answer is adult applicants of 55 year of age and over and under 18-year-old. Who appoints the lieutenant governors in provinces or territories? Number 1 the sovereign on the advice of the governor general. Number 2 the prime minister on the advice of the governor general. Number 3 the governor general on the advice of the prime minister. Number 4 the House of Commons. And the answer is the Governor General on the advice of the Prime Minister. Anglophones are generally referred to as Number 1 British Canadians. Number 2 Canadian Englishmen. Number 3 United Umpire Loyalist. Number 4 English Canadians. And the answer is English Canadians. Which is the primary source for preparation of citizenship test? Number 1 Official Study Guide, Discover Canada, The Rights and Responsibilities of Citizenship. Number 2 Your local library resources. Number 3 Discussion with Canadian citizens. Number 4 Third parties, guides, books, test and questions. And the answer is Official Study Guide, Discover Canada, The Rights and Responsibilities of Citizenship. Canada welcomed over 50,000 refugees in 1975 from which country? Number 1 Hungary. Number 2 South Africa. Number 3 Ethiopia. Number 4 Vietnam. And the answer is Vietnam. Which of following is not a source of Canadian law? Number 1 Laws made by House of Commons and the provincial legislatures. Number 2 French Civil Code. Number 3 French Federal Law. Number 4 English Common Law. And the answer is French Federal Law. Canada welcomed over 37,000 refugees in 1956 from which country? Number 1 Hungary. Number 2 South Africa. Number 3 Ethiopia. Number 4 Vietnam. And the answer is Hungary. Many slaves escaped from the United States to Canada via Number 1 the Underground Tramway. Number 2 the Underground Canal. Number 3 the Underground Highway. Number 4 the Underground Railroad. And the answer is the Underground Railroad. Under Canadian law, when men and women are equal. Number 1 in all circumstances. Number 2 when they are married. Number 3 at workplace. Number 4 in the matters of religion. And the answer is in all circumstances. The first Democratic Representative Assembly in Canada was elected in the province of Number 1 Newfoundland and Labrador. Number 2 Prince Edward Island. Number 3 New Brunswick. Number 4 Nova Scotia. And the answer is Nova Scotia. The first European who explored the St. Lawrence River was Number 1 Jacques Cartier. Number 2 John Cabot. Number 3 Christopher Columbus. Number 4 William Cormack. And the answer is Jacques Cartier. Who helps keep Canada's coastline safe? Number 1 Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP. Number 2 Canadian Coast Guard. Number 3 the Canadian Forces. Number 4 Canadian Rangers. And the answer is Canadian Coast Guard. Sir John Alexander Macdonald, the first Prime Minister of Canada, was an English immigrant born in Number 1 Scotland. Number 2 Wales. Number 3 Canada. Number 4 England. And the answer is Scotland. Which of these maintains the National Register of Electors? Number 1 Provincial Legislatures. Number 2 Elections Canada. Number 3 the Governor-General. Number 4 the House of Commons. And the answer is Elections Canada. Thanks you for visiting. Please subscribe and press bell for notification next video. Also, like, share and comment. See you next video.